Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today I'm here to bring you a wig review in partnership with TressAllure. This is TressAllure Razor Cut Shag in the color, a lot of numbers here, 52/38/49R8. It's also known as 3-tone gray rooted brown. That's sort of how it's described. If you want to know more about this shag cut, it has a basic machine-made cap, a lower price point, heat-friendly fibers, or this beautiful rooted gray color, then stick around. I will tell you everything about it to help you make a good decision. Thank you so much, TressAllure, for sending me this piece so that I could show it to everybody. It is my goal to show every type of style, every type of color, whether or not they're my preferred style or color. And when I have an opportunity to receive a wig for that purpose, I'm so grateful. I hope this helps some of you if you're looking for styles or colors like this. And I'm really, really grateful to manufacturers and retailers who are willing to work with reviewers so that we can serve you better. It's such a blessing. Let's take a look at this one all the way around so that you can see it from all sides. This one is very aptly named. Razor Cut Shag describes it very, very well. So we've got just a piecey shag cut with some texturized razored ends, some flippies. You can see that right here, and this color plays up on the texture so very well. It's a great, great color for this style. Now this has heat-friendly fibers, and quite frankly, I love these fibers, and I know some of you are very cautious about heat-friendly. Some of you just won't purchase heat-friendly at all, and some of you are unsure. Typically, heat-friendly fibers are a little bit challenging to care for because any friction on them can be hard on them. But in styles like this that are short, that aren't rubbing up on your clothing, I don't think that they're really any more difficult to care for overall than regular synthetic, and I think they look a little bit more realistic. Heat-friendly fibers aren't as shiny as regular synthetic, so if you struggle with shine on wigs, heat-friendly could be the way to go. I also think that they feel so realistic. They're soft and silky. I really, honestly, if it weren't for the Permatease in here, of which there is quite a bit, and I'll talk about that, if it weren't for the Permatease, I would honestly have to double check that this isn't human hair. It feels so natural and realistic and soft and silky. So nice. I really enjoy TressAllure heat-friendly fibers. As I'm getting to know a few of their heat-friendly wigs, I'm loving, loving, loving these fibers. I highly recommend them, and if you have not purchased a heat-friendly because you're concerned about the upkeep in a short style like this, I don't think you need to worry. Now, I do want to stress the Permatease in this one. There is a lot of Permatease up here. All up in here. There really isn't any back here though. So sometimes you get a cap like this and it's loaded with Permatease all around. I don't feel any back here at all. I do, however, feel a whole bunch up here and a little bit on the sides. Now they call this their Cool Comfort cap, and I'll show you inside the cap in a few minutes. But so I think it helps not to have all the Permatease in the back, because what Permatease does is it acts as an insulator. So if you run hot all the time and you struggle feeling hot in wigs, a heavy Permatease wig can be challenging because it acts even more like a hat on your head. So there is sections of this that aren't heavy or any Permatease, which will help with that, but all the top up here is full of Permatease. And let me tell you something that I've shared in many videos. Poof and volume is very, very hard to see on video. It's almost impossible to get a good sense of how full a wig is in one of these reviews. You really, really have to rely on the reviewer to be able to share that, and that is sort of a subjective thing. You know, I can tell you that something's full and poofy because it is to me, and it might not be to someone who loves super big hair, wants all the permatease and all the volume. I will say, though, that every time I look at myself in the mirror, I am struck by how voluminous it is up here. It is not looking as voluminous in my viewfinder right now as it is in a mirror. So if you struggle being overwhelmed with hair, if you struggle with permatease, this one may not be the right style for you. I want to caution you that while it's not a heavy density, it's a really nice density. There's not a ton of hair here. It's not super heavy. It is very, very full and poofy on the top here. Some of you are really going to love that. Some of you are going to struggle with it, so just be aware. I will talk about styling in a little while because I do think shorter wigs with a lot of volume are great for headbands. So if you're unsure if it'll work for you, I do think there's some styling that will help a whole lot, and I'll show that to you in a little while. But let's talk about the cap features on this one. So it is a basic cap wig. There is no lace front. There's no monofilament. So really, there's not a lot that you can do to like pull it up off your face. So if you don't like bangs, this one does have bangs, so you can see they're sort of sweeping a little bit to the side. If you wanted it to be a straight down bang, I think you could get there, but you can see how it wants to spring back. You could take heat to that with a hairdryer, a hot airbrush, a hot comb, to get those to lay a little bit more forward if you want to, and since it's heat friendly, that would be really, really easy to do. But I don't think not having a lace front is a big deal on this one because of how great they did with the fringe. It's light and wispy enough that it looks super natural, and since it's not super long, I don't think it's gonna blow up a whole lot. Like if you're out in a wind, you'd have to be in like really gale force winds straight onto it to have to worry about them blowing up and looking unnatural, because they did a really good job. So I don't think that's a big deal. One thing I will mention though, because of the permatease, there is the potential of visible permatease at the part. I'm going to show you what this looks like right here. And then I'm going to tell you that rooted wigs that are basic cap are a little bit better when it comes to visible permatease than non-rooted wigs. The rooting creates a shadow effect that helps to hide any visible permatease that might be there. And on a basic cap wig, there's always risk of visible permatease. Style will impact tremendously. If you have a curly wig, it's less likely that you'll see permatease versus a straight style. Now, because there's all of these shorter layers up here, I do think that mitigates it a little bit. But without rooting here, I do think you might be at risk of actually seeing permatease. So please keep that in mind. Let's take a look at this cap. You know, visible permatease is not the end of the world. There's a lot that you can do, and I'll talk about that when I talk about the styling section. So here we go. Basic cap. Ear tabs with lots and lots of hair sewn in. Extended nape. Velcro adjusters. They do a really good job on their cap, and it is a very, very comfortable cap. So I think that's a bonus. With some people get irritated by lace fronts, so not having that means you won't have that source of irritation, which honestly can be really helpful for some people. So let's talk about fit. TressAllure wigs tend to run very true to average, erring on the side of being a little bit large. This one I think runs just a tiny bit. Well, okay, so over the top of the head, I don't have a lot of extra cap, but I do have this cinched in a little bit, and I do have some stretch, and I am wearing a wig grip, so I would say this is running pretty true to average, but I do think that it will fit up to a 22.5-inch circumference pretty comfortably. I just don't think there's, a lot of extra cap up here, so I wouldn't necessarily call this big head friendly. I would say if you have average measurements, maybe just the slightest toward average large on your circumference, like I said, 22.5, then I think it might fit you very well. I do get really, really good coverage. These ear tabs come exactly where I like them to fall to give me the best coverage, and the fact that they sewed all that hair into the ear tabs really helps with coverage. So if you've got bio hair that is at risk of showing and you purchased a color where your hair doesn't blend well with it, I do think if your measurements are similar to mine, I can even tuck right here and still hide my bio hair. So I definitely love how they constructed this. Before we get to color, we're almost there. Let's talk about styling and handling visible permatease on a wig. First of all, I want to share with you a brush that I recently purchased. Oh, I've got hair in it. On Amazon, and I absolutely love this. It's a paddle brush, and it's really fairly wide in between these, and it's very gentle. I actually love this brush on wigs. Now, what I've discovered is if you have a wig that has a little bit of visible permatease here, taking this brush and sort of lifting up at that area really helps a lot, because what you're doing is you're breaking up that permatease and you're lifting up the fibers all around it, and that really helps to disguise permatease. So if you have a wig with visible permatease, one of the things you want to do is get in there at the permatease and sort of break it up and then lift it up. So lift up those fibers, because when you get them out of the box, they can be really compacted down and exacerbate and exaggerate the permatease in that area and how much you can see it. I will link this in the description. I absolutely love this brush. I use it on my human hair wigs. I use it on my synthetics. You know, I was under the impression that you should never ever brush a synthetic wig, and and only use a wide tooth comb. I do think that for longer pieces, a wide tooth comb is going to be gentler, but sometimes a brush like this can really make a difference. It can get you a smoother look than you can ever get with your fingers or a wide tooth comb. So I wanted to mention that. Another way to hide visible permatease is headbands. I share this all the time. For those of you who are so awesome and watch most of my videos, you know, I repeat a lot of things because I get so many new watchers. So I hope that you don't mind, but let's talk about this. I will link these. So I will link my Amazon store in the description so that you can go find all the pieces that I love. I'll individually link a couple things like the brush, just so it's easier to go straight there. But I have so many headbands like this. I actually purchased a whole bunch, and I give one away in most of the wigs people purchase from me. I'm not a retailer, but I do sometimes sell wigs that I review, and I try to give a nice little styling accessory with every purchase. And because I love these so much, I bought a bunch. I don't know if I'll always be able to do that because, you know, it's an expense, but if you ever buy a wig from me, you might get a headband. But look at how great that looks, and look at how easy it was to put on. So what this can do is not only can it reduce poof, but it can hide visible permatease. Let's do that again. So basically, I just sort of take some of this hair. It's a basic cap, so I can't take the front. So I take some of this hair, and I kind of work it back, and then I just stick this in. These headbands are great because they fit great with wigs. They're not tight. I have yet to buy one of these type, and I have so many of them, different styles. Some have pearls on them, some have bling on them, some are like this. I've yet to have one that squeezes my head with a wig on. So that is fabulous. They stay put, and because of where it sits, if you had visible permatease, you're not going to have to worry about that. And again, it will reduce poof. So if you're, working your way up to a certain style that may be too poofy for you, truly think about headbands as being a transition. It's great even just for every day, but for people who are struggling, I think they can serve a purpose in that area of wig wearing. All right, here we are at color. Okay, you guys, this is such a unique color, and they have used a lot of blend codes. Let's talk quickly about color codes. They're very helpful on wigs that are straightforward. When you get a highly blended wig like this, color codes can be challenging. So let's break down the color codes that are in this wig. And I will tell you guys that I have a blog post at my website, which is heywigsister.com, and it talks all about color, and I have 2 documents linked. One of them is a color index that breaks down all the color codes. If you are interested in that, I will link it below. You can go straight to it and check it out. So the first number typically is the base color. Not always. Some brands do some different things. That's why color's so hard, why reviews are so important. 52 is a blend color. There is no 52 on the color chart. Whenever I see a code and there's no code on the color chart, that tells me it's a blend of some colors. You can't always know what they've blended. But I'm going with this being kind of a gray with dark brown. The 38 is actually a medium brown with 35% gray. And a 49 is another blend. And I do think that's more of maybe a light brown blended with gray. And then the R8 in the color code means rooted, with an 8 brunette. An 8 is a medium chestnut brown. Now, I know a lot of people complain about rooted grays, because if you are gray, if you're naturally gray, you don't have dark roots. That's just not how gray hair really works. Unless, of course, you have dark hair and you're starting to go gray. Now, I do think they did a fantastic job with the rooting on this. It is very, very short and shadow-like. I also think the rooting is pretty crucial for a basic cap piece. It's just there's so much risk of seeing visible permatease that would really bother some people. It is lessened significantly when you've got a darker root. Now, they also took some of that darker color at the nape, which sort of pokes through in the back. You might have noticed that when I did the turnaround, which gives it a slight fashion component and makes the rooting make just a little bit of sense. Now, gray hair is so in now. So many people have gone gray and stopped coloring their hair. But some of those people do still get a little bit of touch-ups done. Maybe they get some lowlights put in or some highlights put in. So they're not coloring their whole head, but they're making it like this. See how this is brighter than everything else? So it could look like you've got gray hair that you maintain some sort of fashion color with it. Just throwing that out there. But what we've got here is very light up at the front. Very face brightening. This is not... It's a very kind of a beigey gray. It's not really white. You might be tempted to think that's a white. It's not. It's very kind of muted white, a beigey kind of white. Very, very interesting. And then they've got this sort of a light brown, an ashy light brown, all throughout, blended with some of that gray. It's so pretty and so interesting. So it's definitely a cool color. Gray is a cool color. And this brown is much more neutral, but it gives just the slightest kiss of warmth. Not a warm color, no red in this, but the brown is like a neutral, almost like a golden neutral brown. I know gold and neutral are kind of contradiction in terms, but when I look at it, I don't know, it makes me smile. It's a very unique color, and it definitely gives it interest. And now you can see when I put it back on, all that light color, very, very flattering around the face. You know, a lot of people, when they get their hair colored, they'll do kind of money pieces around the face because it's so flattering to have some lighter colors. That's sort of what this does. All right, everybody, let's get outside so you can see this color outside. Thanks once again to TressAllure. Please let me know if you have any questions. This is out of the box. I did nothing. Oh, I brushed it, okay? Whenever I say I did nothing to it, what I really mean is I didn't use product. I didn't spray water. I didn't do any kind of modification. I did brush it. I finger combed it first, and then I took that brush that I showed you earlier and I just brushed through it. That is all I did. It really, really is quick to style up out of the box, and it didn't really have bad box hair, so I think you'll be able to tell pretty quickly if this is the style for you if you get it. All right, guys, let's go outside. All right, everyone, I want to show you this color with some natural light on me. Unfortunately, I cannot get outside for you. We've had the most unbelievable weather the past few weeks. It has snowed every day, and we're in a winter storm warning right now. And I really can't get outside, and I've held this review for quite some time in order to try to get outside. So I'm in front of a window, and you'll be able to see everything on me right now is natural light. It's a giant window in my bedroom, and I have a really good exposure to get good light. So let's take a look. I'm going to take this off. So we're looking at a very cool color overall. You've got that beautiful 8 root, which they did a really good job of not making it a thick or long root. And then they took that darker color and they brought it down to the nape. So that darker
is down at the nape as well. So you can kind of see that poking out with the way that they've layered this. And then you've got a really beautiful kind of light ash brown along with all the gray tones. So really, and then nice light gray up at the front as a face brightener. Just let the camera adjust the light and try to give you guys a good sense of this color. If I stay out of the frame, hopefully that will help it really focus on this color. So definitely ashy color, some light brown mixed in with all of the different tones of gray, and then a lot more lightness at the front. Hope that helped you guys. Sorry I couldn't get outside. I really tried. Thanks for watching.